Today on Hey, We're Talking, we're going to get down to the grind with Chris Bean. Right, Chris?
That's right. Beans, beans, and more beans.
We're so full of beans around here.
We're going to enjoy some coffee and talk about it.
You know, coffee makes you poop, right?
A lot.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Hey, We're Talking. I love the mug. I love the mug. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, we've got a guest today, Mr. Chris Bean. And it's so appropriate that his last name is Bean because he's a coffee bean roaster, among many other things. But we're going to have him on the show today because Derek just wants to talk about coffee. He said that he was going to take control of the show and just leave us sitting around doing nothing because... Let's be real, Bob. You and I don't know that much about coffee. I mean, we know we like coffee.
Yeah, it's going to be the Derek Chris show. I mean, that's what we should have, named this show. But that's okay. That's okay.
I don't know. I feel like Scott's going to talk.
Oh, yeah. You can't stop me from talking. I'm going to talk.
I just feel like Scott's going to talk. So, yes, we do have Chris Bean, owner, proprietor of Pneuma Coffee out of Cincinatti, Ohio. And, of course, we have Bob Peel. Say hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
And I, of course, am Derek Tant.
You're not going to introduce me? What the heck?
You already introduced yourself.
I didn't say who I was.
Okay, that is Scotty D.
Or Scott
Donnelly.
Yeah.
Scott Donnelly.
And Chris, let's let Chris say hi, too.
Hey, everybody. It's so cool to be hanging out with these dudes. These guys that I've been laughing with for months now. And here we are in the flesh.
Yeah, oh, look at that. Freshly brewed coffee being poured into the Hey, We're Talking mug. Chris is so nice, too, man. He'll take, like, a picture of his pipe and of the mug and stuff and say he's listening to the show. He's so cool to do that. Like, he doesn't have to do that, but he's nice and he does it.
No, not at all. But it's nice to see that happen. It is, especially when you wake up, you see something on Instagram or wherever, somebody's got your shirt on.
Yeah.
Somebody's got, it's like, hey, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Because it is kind of weird that people would have our stuff because it's not like I don't know. It's weird. It's bizarre, but I like it.
We're on the rise. But Chris is a friend of the show, fellow pipe smoker, coffee roaster. And what else do you do, Chris? What else can we throw on the resume for you?
Oh, man. I love to paddle my kayak down the Little Miami River here in Cincinnati.
When it's warmer? Huh. Is it warm there right now, or what's it like in Cincinnati?
It is not good paddling weather right now, so the kayak is in storage in the shed. But that's one of my favorite little pastimes. Love hanging out with my kids. I got 3 awesome kids. 18, 15, and 7. So they're all spread out.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm with you, Chris, with the 18 and 15. My daughter will be 18 in June. My son is 15 now. So I get that. I understand that. The 7, no, we stopped. No more after the 2.
When you guys say like you have 18-year-olds, it does blow my mind a little bit because you guys both don't look like old men. So,
well, and I'm probably 10 years older than Bob, so he got a head start on
They like to make fun of us.
I'm 38, so...
Okay.
Well, Scott's 56, so...
I'm not 56, man. I mean, I've done enough damage to my body that I'm probably 70-something, but it's all reversible, sort of. Let's move on. It's too sad to talk about. Anyway... But and Derek's young too. What are you, like 28 or something like that?
I am 28. Yes, no, I'm 37 is my age, and I too have a 14-year-old son. So yeah, we're all in the teenage son market.
Throes of adolescent management.
I had like an almost 13-year-old dog, but it died, and that's all I got. I don't have no kids. Thanks for bringing that up, guys. Can't have any children. Thanks a lot.
There are days I wish can't say that out loud.
No, but let's be real. There are times where, like my wife and I, we wanted to have kids, you know. We've been married almost 25 years now, so we wanted to have kids, but there are times when we see what our friends are going through and we go, yeah, we kind of dodged a bullet. But I know there's awesome stuff that happens in between some of the stuff that makes you want to pull your hair out. So, yeah. So anyway. Man, I brought it down.
The hair
I like
pulling.
my kid.
Yeah, no hair pulling for
but
Chris.
Yeah.
But you choose to do that. I can see you do have some. Like you could grow some hair, right?
I could do a little bit there, but it just is low maintenance to.
How long have you been clean shaven on top?
Good question. I think it's been 7 or 8 years.
Because for some reason, I'm just picturing you with like a long head of hair at some point in your life.
Not really.
No?
Huh.
For some reason, I'm just picturing you with like these long locks and like, you know, listening to like, I don't know, Dave Matthews Band or something. I don't know.
I never had a mullet.
I did. I love it.
Never. And I used to have some funky wavy hair and something up here, but it was a little bit of a Tom Selleck kind of thing for, you know, a couple of years. Bushy mustache, and then
you do have an incredible mustache.
Then it just started moving, receding, running away.
Scott's got this weird obsession with facial hair lately. I don't know.
What are you talking about?
The show the other day. You were
that's because Derek shaved. He got rid of a whole bunch.
You're staring at his lip, and you're like, "Oh, Derek, your
how
lip
can you miss
it? A little bit better."
He has Amish beard almost.
I wouldn't have even known that Derek shaved his mustache if you didn't say anything.
You took yours down so low. I don't know, what were you doing there, Bob? Yours
Me?
is like just like stubble.
You got the chin strap going.
I just decided to shave. That's all.
All right. But what I'm trying to say is Chris has a substantial mustache. It's not like, you know, it's a nice mustache.
He's got a full beard.
Yeah, but I'm talking about, look, some people can't grow a really good mustache. He said Tom Selleck. What's Tom Selleck known for, guys?
Magnum PI.
Right. But why?
Short shorts.
The stash. The stash. And being a Detroit Tigers fan also.
Oh, my God, Thomas.
You know, they're remaking that show, by the way.
I heard about that.
Okay. All right. Let's talk coffee. Derek, come on. Transition us into coffee, Derek. Jeez.
I've been trying, but Scott keeps talking about...
You did say I was going to talk, so I had to
I knew you were, but you keep talking about Chris's bald head and amazing mustache.
Don't make fun of people with bald heads, man. Bears will come out of the woods and destroy you.
I get it.
It's a little Bible joke, everybody. Bible joke.
Biblical prophecy there.
I totally missed that. I don't know what that.
You don't know that story?
I don't know that story.
Chris, tell him the story. Tell him the story.
Oh man, I'm drawing a blank on who it was.
It's Elijah, or is it Elisha? One of the prophets.
One of those But yeah, some kids. Basically, this got told at all these youth workers conferences. You know, I think it was Wayne Rice, who was a bald youth ministry guy, would tell this story. But yeah, a bunch of kids were calling the prophet Baldy, and he just summoned a
bunch of bears
to come and maul them,
and they killed them. So don't make fun of bald people.
There's a lot of aggressiveness in the Old Testament.
There does seem to be a little bit of violence and aggression.
Let me tell you, this last Sunday, I broke out the old Bible and we got into Genesis and read the story of Jacob. And I was basically I was kind of narrating from the Bible. The story of Jacob is so insane. I'm like, how it's the craziest thing.
What part exactly are you talking? Like, share with everybody. What part?
Okay. I know this isn't coffee, but this is too good. All right. So obviously Jacob betrayed his brother, tricked him into stealing his birthright and everything.
Yep.
So Jacob's mom says, your brother is going to kill you, so you need to leave. Go east and hang out with my brother. And so he leaves. He heads east to find her brother, his uncle, Laban. And he finds his people and finds Laban's daughter, Rachel, his cousin, and immediately falls in love and basically starts dating her and asks Laban, "Can I marry this girl?" And he's like, "Yeah, what do you got? What will you pay?" And he's like, "I will work for you 7 years." I mean, no negotiation.
No.
It doesn't start low like I'll fix your
I
fences.
know. I always thought to myself, why 7, man? I know why, but go ahead.
Laban's a rancher, right? Raises sheep and cattle, whatever, and he's struggling. So Jacob's like, I'll work for you 7 years. And he's like, cool. And so he works with no pay, just for room and board, I guess, for 7 years. And weddings in that time were different, right? It was just like they had a feast, big old party, big long party, and everybody's drinking, everybody gets drunk, and they go and Jacob goes into his little tent, his little house, and
it's the love tent.
Laban's gonna bring him, his wife,
no,
basically,
Rachel.
yeah, he's gonna bring him Rachel, and then they're gonna consummate the marriage, and he does. He goes in there, and Laban brings in his daughter. And it says he wakes up the next day, and I love the language in the Bible. It says Jacob woke up, and behold, it was Leah, Rachel's older sister.
Yep.
He swapped women.
Yep.
And Jacob's like, he says to his new father-in-law, "What did you do, man?" And he's like, "Well, around here,
she's the oldest.
It's against tradition to have the younger marry first." And I'm like, I would be like, how is that my problem? How?
We had a verbal agreement.
Yeah.
Why weren't you working on this for 7 years, Laban?
Yeah.
And Jacob was obviously drinking a little too much that he couldn't tell the difference between
Right, exactly.
Leah
Something
and Rachel.
So what did he do, Eric? He worked another 7 years. I think he still got Rachel, though, didn't he? He didn't have to wait.
Like, I'll let you have Rachel,
but he had
just
to
work
stick
another
around. Yeah.
Yeah, just work another 7 years.
14 years for one chick, dude. Think about that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
I
effort.
love my wife, but I think I would work 15 years for her. See, Cheryl, what I did right there? I said I'd go the extra mile for you, baby.
That's just because we know his wife listens to the show.
She does.
Well,
the story gets even crazier, but we could probably save that for some other time.
Put that on the spreadsheet, Bob. A Jacob show.
The good thing about this, the amount of dysfunction that's in the book of Genesis, family dysfunction, it's kind of a good thing because, then we know that the Bible, is telling the story about how normal people, even like really screwed up people, can have a relationship with God. So,
yep, exactly.
And how a guy
no crazier than
the Trump family.
Was it Abraham who conned Pharaoh or Moses who conned Pharaoh into saying my wife is my wife?
Yeah.
It's my sister, not my wife.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there's all sorts of weird stuff like that, man. Yeah. People get hung up on that stuff, but just like you're saying, Chris, that's the thing I always think is like, this just lets you know that you don't have to have your crap together to be, to have faith. You can just be you and it'll all work out, hopefully, in some point, but you don't have to be like sinless.
Yeah, for Jacob, he was basically a scumbag, and he eventually trusted God and got himself 4 wives out of the deal, and man, 12.
Is that a blessing or a curse? 4 wives? I don't know, man.
I don't know. It
but
seems like there was
a
lot of drama.
I bet you had some amazing coffee. Oh, speaking of coffee.
Jacob needed a lot of coffee to work 14 years for Rachel.
Yeah. Well, beans are mentioned in the Bible a couple of times.
Are they?
Yeah. I mean, the 2 brothers, the one that sold his birthright for a bowl of beans, those were coffee beans.
There you go.
Really?
He's talking about Esau, my brother. He made him a stew, but we'll
the
pretend
whole Jacob and Esau. Speaking of these brothers that need to be reconciled.
Hey, you know what we should do, because we blathered on about Jacob for the last 15 minutes? Is we should just take a quick break and come back and actually talk about coffee. Why don't we do that?
Oh.
I feel bad because Chris is sitting here going, I thought we were going to talk about coffee, you idiots. Is that what you were thinking, Chris?
I was not actually thinking that. I was thinking, I have an MDiv. I ought to know
if it's
the
Moses
name of
or
that
Abraham.
prophet who
or Elijah, yeah.
who sentenced the youth group to death for making fun of his bald head.
All right. Well, Bob will look it up between the break here, and he'll let us know who it was. All right, we'll be right back after this. Today's show is sponsored by Gamefly.com. 30-day free trial. Go to GameFlyOffer.com/HWT. We're back. We're caffeinated. We're excited. We have Chris Bean with us from Pneuma Coffee. Chris, what's the actual website address that people can go order your tasty, tasty roasted beans?
It is pneumacoffee.com. So it's Pneuma. So that's the Greek word for air, like pneumatic, pneumonia. So it's pneumacoffee.com.
Nice. And I think all of us have had your coffee. Derek and I have both ordered coffee from you, and it's fantastic. Bob, have you ever gotten any actually from the website, or just when you saw Chris that one time?
No, when I met Chris one time briefly at the Chicago Pipe Show last year, he gave me a bag of it.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
I still have the bag. It's empty because I didn't want to forget where I got it from or anything like that. So I still have it. This one was roasted May 4th of 2017.
Yeah, because when he said that in our little Voxer chat, like, I still think I have some beans left, I was like, you're not going to want to make coffee out of those.
Well, there's like literally one bean floating around in here. So like literally one coffee bean left. So.
Okay, I'm going to let Derek ask in-depth questions, but.
Yeah, well, because I am the coffee guy.
You are.
Yeah.
Pneuma Coffee. I've had your coffee, Chris, and I've run it through my espresso machine, and I gotta say it's one of those blends that your espresso blend that I feel I could keep like as a regular house blend when I'm ready to settle on that. Right now I've been exploring. I'm working on some darker roasted coffee from Montana called Redbird coffee. I've had them a couple of times. I'm ready to move on. So talk to me about your roasting style, what you like to do with yours.
Oh, man. We just like to turn green coffee into brown beans that taste delicious. So, every roaster kind of, I think everybody begins with basically their own kind of flavor preferences. And so you have a lot of roasters who tend to the dark side. And then you have a lot of kind of third wave, we call them third wave, kind of modern, hipster, trendy, roasters who are roasting things really light, and they're trying to accentuate acidity and floral notes and berry notes and tart, sour, sweet, all those kind of things. And then I would say we're kind of in the middle there, trying to, just roast a bean to where we get the most flavor out of it, but we're not trying to create something so novel that it appeals to only a small kind of demographic. So
right.
But sometimes those things are fun, and we like to find a coffee now and then that's like a micro lot. It's like a natural processed Ethiopian or something interesting from wherever. A geisha from
Costa Rica.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, there's geishas kind of being developed all over the place now that are just creating really interesting, complex, sometimes light and floral. The geisha tends to be a more delicate kind of coffee and a flavor, but
right.
But anyway, so occasionally we love to play around with those and push one coffee to, we had a Kenya at one point that had some very cool, like tropical notes, almost like a pineapple kind of sweetness that would come through, and that was pretty fun and interesting. But that's not for everybody, so we try to have these that are just really all around good, the kind of, all day brew, kind of coffees.
Right. Well, Scott had a question, I think, for you. What you want, Scott?
Well, the thing I was going to ask is, you guys, I know that you and Chris, Derek, are understanding everything that you guys are talking about, but like those of us who are not like coffee geeks, tell us about this geisha thing, because I've heard so many people talk about it. I have no idea what it is. and why everybody's talking about it. Can you guys give us a little more information about what geisha coffee is?
Yeah, I first came across that when I was reading a book, and I think it was early to mid 2000s. A book came out called God in a Cup, or there was another one called The God Shot. But it was basically talking about kind of the story of this geisha variety. And so it's basically when you create a hybrid, there's all kinds of varieties of coffee plants, just like, for gardeners out there, you could have 20 different tomatoes growing in your garden. They're different varieties, heirlooms, things like that. So coffee has all these different varieties, and so they will, cross the varieties, create hybrid varietals and things like that. So anyway, I can't explain the details of how they did it, but they created this geisha variety that just all of a sudden it was in the Cup of Excellence in I want to say Colombia. That might not be right. But it was this Esmeralda coffee that suddenly was selling for $200 a pound.
What?
Wow. Ridiculous. It scored, on the specialty coffee grading kind of score sheet, coffees can score up into the 90s. 100 would be a perfect coffee, I guess. And, most of your specialty coffees that you would get from, good roasters, like Derek mentioned, Redbird, or, if you think of other, Heart, Ruby Roasters, Blue Bottle, Intelligentsia, Stumptown, all those. Most of their coffees are going to be scoring in the 84 to 88 range. And then this geisha was scored, I don't know, I can't remember exactly, but it was up in the 90s. It was just ridiculous. So it just created this interesting, all these new flavors that people weren't used to tasting in coffee and stuff. So it just created a lot of hype.
Go ahead, Bob.
What was the reason you got into coffee and doing, forming Pneuma Coffee and all that stuff? Was it a hobby that turned into business? Or, because I see that a lot of people do it that way. It's something that you were just a hobby into, and then all of a sudden, boom, it became, kind of your passion or your side business or whatever the case may be. How about with you?
Yeah, I was actually a youth pastor in Columbus, Ohio, and I wanted to have another baby, but I didn't have any insurance. So I went to work for Starbucks, and I got great benefits. And basically what happened is I fell in love with kind of the coffee shop, the environment. I kind of got out of the comfort zone, or where I had been hanging out or doing ministry and stuff like that as a pastor type. And hanging out in a coffee shop just helped me realize how coffee just creates great opportunities for conversations and relationships, to get to know people in ways that, So I just found, working in this Starbucks on the edge of Columbus, within 6 months, I knew more people in my community than I had met the first 6 years I had lived there. And so that just kind of turned this light on for me that the coffee shop and coffee could be this thing that really kind of brought people together. And with a name like Bean, it just felt like my density,
Yeah. Very serendipitous.
Yeah.
So you have
start off, it was kind of hobby-ish, for a while. It wasn't until it was, I'd say, 10 years later, after becoming a barista and working at Starbucks, but then doing it more in just kind of local. I joined this underground collective of baristas we called the Espresso Guild, and we would meet together and pull shots and taste each other's coffee and try to steam milk and pour latte art and do all this kind of stuff. So I got really deep into this coffee community, but it was 10 years kind of through that coffee journey before I ever started the business and thought, I should actually, maybe do something here. And so it's still really all about community, relationships, just trying to do good things in our community as well as in the farming communities, in Guatemala, Honduras, wherever we're sourcing coffees. We want to kind of do some good things there, and even try to engage students who are part of our campus ministry things in Cincinnati. We'll be taking them to the farm in Guatemala this coming December and doing some things like that. So it's just trying to just really enjoy coffee, but do it in such a way that it kind of maximizes relational value within a community.
Awesome.
You just went down there recently, right? Where'd you go to? Did you go to Guatemala, or where did you go?
I flew into Guatemala City, and then a friend from there drove me over to Honduras. Should be a 6-hour drive, but it took us 13 hours because
Wow.
There was this parade with thousands of motorcycles who were going to see the Black Jesus in this cathedral in some kind of national holiday thing. That was kind of interesting. But anyway, so we went to Honduras for 2 days, and then we came back to Guatemala, and then I just kind of hopped around Guatemala, really using what we call chicken buses. They're like these really souped up, crazy looking school buses. You'll see them around Antigua a lot, but it's Guatemalan public transportation in the rural communities. So it took me 5 different chicken buses to get to the Guatemala Rio Ocho farm, which is our main Guatemalan coffee that we sell online and use in our espresso blends and things like that. So
that's your main source. Farmer. That's your main source of coffee there.
That's our main Guatemalan coffee farm connection. Yeah.
So what did y'all do when you were at the farm?
Yeah, so I got to this little town and actually had to hop in the back of somebody's pickup truck and go another 30 minutes to, up the mountain to where the farm was. And the farmer's daughter had met me in the town, and she was with me in this little pickup truck.
I feel like you're setting up a joke here. The farmer's daughter? No.
No, it was kind of crazy. And they live during the harvest, like 4 months out of the year. They live, out in the coffee fields and the plantations on the side of this mountain. So we had to get out of this little town and go quite a ways just to find his coffee farm. And she's pretty much just speaking Spanish, and I'm trying to speak Spanish and trying to figure out where we're going. And so anyway, we make it, and we meet the farmer, Juan Jose Martin, and his beautiful wife, and then his younger brother also owns a parcel of coffee nearby, and they were doing some processing of coffee, when I came up, and he knew I was coming, so they were expecting me, but they were processing coffee and depulping it and then laying it out on a patio to dry, all that kind of stuff that goes on. And they kind of stopped everything, and he took me on a tour and showed me these coffee trees, and they're in this incredible area, this valley where and it's called Rio Ocho because there's 8 different kind of springs or water sources that all come together down this mountain to form this one river. So it's Rio Ocho, 8 waters, 8
That's
rivers.
Awesome.
But it was just amazing. We hung out and talked. They made some coffee for me and made this little kind of bread thing, and it was just it was a great experience.
How good was their coffee since they made it right there at the source? Was it awesome, or was it not as good as you were hoping?
You know what? It's not always, they drink coffee a little differently than we do. And they also, the coffee that they usually keep for themselves is the lowest quality coffee.
Okay, I gotcha.
They sell the best stuff that they have. And then typically when they brew it, they add a lot of sugar, and it was really sweet and stuff.
Sure.
But it was good. It was not, it's not how we prepare the coffee a lot of times,
Do they do milk or anything like that, or is it just sugar, a lot of sugar?
They're mainly just a lot of sugar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're planning on going back? Are you going to make that like a regular thing where y'all go back to the farm and?
Yeah. So that's going to be an annual trip for us, and we hope to do some things. We try to work mainly with small farmers who are, they're not wealthy. They don't have all the best equipment, all the best resources. So we want to work with farms that we can help them develop. Basically their ability to produce coffee and do higher quality coffee and produce more and more, once they get some better equipment, things like that. So we hope to go back once or twice a year to this farm, visit, and just help kind of resource them.
Is that basically what you're saying when you're saying that you want to like reach out and help these people? Are you talking mostly like doing real world, like, hey, these people are in need of better equipment and stuff like that, and just helping them kind of move up to a better level in life as far as like the life they live? Or what kinds of stuff are you doing when you go?
Yeah, so I think most people would be shocked if you could go and see, probably half or more of the coffee farmers in the world, are living at this kind of poverty level and barely getting by. And to know that we're roasting their coffee and selling it for $12, $13 a bag, or $3 or $4 a cup, or whatever, and so it really makes you want to figure out how to leverage, all the parts of the coffee supply chain to just do better things. And, he took me over just about a half acre from his lot and introduced me to a female coffee producer whose husband had died, I think, in the past year. And she has 4 daughters, and they were all outside working and trying to depulp coffee and like do all this thing. And they took me over there to meet them. And he was showing me that they really needed help. Like they really needed a new, kind of the processing station, use a wet mill to basically depulp the coffee and then run it through these channels, these concrete channels, to wash the coffee. And that's one way of processing coffee. So anyway, they just desperately need a better system. They need a better depulper, to do that part of it. So, I mean, when you see it, it just makes you want to figure out how to leverage, the success, the economic success that we have here. And, so many of us enjoying coffee, but we just don't think, about the impact or what we can do.
Yeah, there's a lot of money in coffee. The farmers, the folks that do the most work in coffee, they need a little bit bigger piece of the pie because they're growing it, they're processing it, and they're bagging it up and shipping it our way. They need a little bit bigger piece of the pie.
And that's why a lot of roasters are trying to do, we call it direct trade or like relationship coffee, but it's basically this idea of instead of fair trade, most people are familiar with fair trade coffee and think that that's great. Farmers are making more money. But fair trade has kind of turned into this bureaucratic process that it's expensive to get certified, and then a lot of that money just goes, to the sort of to maintain the bureaucracy of fair trade. So direct trade, typically, a farmer can get maybe 25 cents more a pound for their coffee by being fair trade. But with a direct trade relationship, typically it's $1 more, 50 cents to $1 more per pound.
That's huge.
And so that's a big difference. So that's why a lot of roasters are trying to develop relationships with farmers directly, so that we can cut out some of the middle stuff. You can't cut out all the stuff. I mean, you have to have an exporter and an importer and all these kind of things. But we're trying to get closer and closer to the farmer so that we can make sure more of the money is flowing back to the farm.
Right. So that's some heavy, big picture stuff.
Yeah.
For sure. But let's get back to a little bit lighter stuff. You've got Pneuma Coffee. You've got the roasting set up. Do you have like a retail space? Do you make and sell coffee to the public, or is it just the roasting operation?
We're mainly a wholesale roasting operation, but we're located in a coffee shop that is a nonprofit. It's kind of like a campus ministry venue at the University of Cincinnati. So the roastery is inside that shop. We share space with them. So if anybody wants to come and buy, Pneuma Coffee there in Cincinnati, they can come to our shop, or they can come to 4 or 5 other shops in town that are serving our coffees. And beyond that, the online kind of website thing is that's not we're trying to grow that and just get, do some more things to get the word out and get Pneuma a little bit out there.
Yes.
In that way as well. But
no, I have purchased coffee from you before, and it's good. We may have talked about it on the break. Maybe we talked about it earlier, but it does strike a good balance between a lot of the espressos these days are very lightly roasted, and so they have a very tart kind of quality, very acidic and
sharp.
Yeah, very sharp. Trying to get those floral berry notes. And then the other side of the scale is like the dark roasted stuff, like this stuff that I got from Redbird. It's all roast, and you're not getting any subtleties of the coffee. It's all just the caramelization and chocolate. I found your espresso blend kind of walks that balance, and I find that hard to do. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm running low, so I'll probably be putting in an order with you this week. I love espresso. Man. What's your favorite? Well, thank you. What's your favorite drink, like coffee drink, to prepare for yourself?
Oh, I am kind of in this group. I mostly drink just like some kind of pour over, some kind of just black coffee, like through a Kalita or a Chemex or a Clever Dripper or one of those slow manual brew methods. But when I'm doing espresso, I like a Cuban cortado. So you pull a shot. I don't know if you try this on your machine. Put a little raw sugar, sandwich it between the espresso. Like put a little espresso in the portafilter, then raw sugar, then cover it up with espresso, and then tamp it, and then pull the shot through the raw sugar. So it integrates the sugar into the espresso, and it's real subtle. And then a cortado is basically a 5 or 6 ounce espresso drink that's half espresso, half steam milk. So cortado, I think it came from this Spanish word cut. To cut a drink is like to cut it in half, cut espresso with steamed milk. So you end up with this cortado. Some people call it a flat. It's kind of like the original flat white, which was a New Zealand thing, Australian thing, or it's like some people call it a Gibraltar. Usually it's in a little rocks glass that's about a 5, 6 ounce at the most.
This is about a 5 or 6 ounce cup. If those listening via the podcast won't see it, but I've got a little cappuccino cup from Intelligentsia. How much sugar do you put in that?
That's a nice cup, by the way. You got that little neutral handle. That's sweet.
Oh yeah.
And that's a traditional Italian cappuccino that's like the perfect cup right there. Yeah. What was your question? Sorry.
How much sugar are you putting in the portafilter for that cortado?
That's it's the equivalent of like one raw sugar, one little pack of raw sugar, which I don't know. That's probably like a teaspoon, maybe.
I got you.
It's not a whole lot.
Bob, go ahead. What you want?
So here's my question. You guys are talking about a lot about coffee, and some of it I do know about, some of it I don't know about. Have you guys found a good resource to where like a newbie can go in and whatever website or whatever the case may be, just be able to go on there and find all this information? Is there one spot that you guys have found that holds a lot of the information?
There's one spot called Google. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know that I could point you to one particular. I know that places like Intelligentsia, Stumptown, some of those kind of big name third wave coffee people, they have a lot of great what I call brewtorials, coffee brewing demonstrations or techniques. Like say you want to, and we're trying to add some of these to our website as well, and we're calling them brewtorials, where we do like, hey, if you've got a Chemex, here's what you want to do. You want to use this much coffee, you want to weigh it out, you want to grind it at this setting, and you want to use this much water at this temperature and brew it like this. So there's a lot of great videos out there on YouTube and wherever, I think that do those sort of things. And then, a lot of people just struggle with, I think, just the basics of, are they grinding coffee fresh? And for some people, getting over the hump financially of buying a burr grinder, is kind of like, that's the initial, okay, I don't want to, I'm trying not to be a coffee snob.
Just do it. Just do it. Do it.
But, it's like, I don't know, you guys talk often about beer, if somebody, begins to like really care about craft beer and pay a little bit more for good beer, or even start brewing their own beer, that's when you go to this whole new level of the journey there. So,
yep.
But for most people, I think it's just about, figuring out the coffee you like, because it is super subjective. And really, whatever coffee you like, that's what you ought to get. That's what you ought to brew and what you ought to drink, because that's kind of what it's about. But basically, just figure out, a good grinder, a good source for coffee, a good grinder. You want to use the best possible water. I mean, coffee is 98% water, so if it's not good filtered water, you're going to have, if you've got bad water, you're going to have bad coffee. And then there's all those intricacies about the grind size. What does that little particle need to look like? And when Derek's pulling a shot of espresso, that is almost the texture of flour. When I'm brewing, my Chemex here, that's a little bit different. That's more like kind of coarse sea salt. Your regular dripper, or people, who use Keurigs, Keurig kind of bad word in, my coffee world, but I do sometimes get people who's like, oh, I'm using a Keurig. Well, you got that little reusable K-cup, so you can put, Pneuma Coffee right in there. And,
That's true.
And it'll work. But anyway, so I kind of rambled there for a little
there's
bit.
like
But
everything you're talking about, though, is like making me think of like 20 more questions that I have, but I don't want to push it too far because I want to respect your time because we're way over, but I don't care because I'm enjoying it.
Let me answer some of those questions about the resources. Like he said, I would say go to an independent coffee shop in your local area and try the coffee, see what they're using, and then see the grinders they're using, see the equipment they're using.
Take out a loan, buy them.
There's online forums. There's online forums for sure, like homebarista.org. When I got into roasting coffee at home, it was sweetmarias.com. There's tons of information there. Go to different, like you said, different YouTube channels that focus on coffee, and of course, coffee roasters' websites. A lot of information there. It's a huge thing, and unfortunately, it's really technical, so it's hard for a new person to really like grasp. But once you're in, man, you're in.
I'm glad. Sorry, Derek. I thought you paused slightly.
He
there,
did the Derek pause.
I know. I figured that was kind of my in, so I'll just keep going. I think it's just cool. What you said a while back here was just that you found that coffee you've met more people through coffee and all that stuff, and being a former youth minister, is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge to be able to see something so simple as coffee bring people together, and it seems like you're going to continue to do some of your ministry, I guess, through coffee, which is awesome. I know my church goes through Go Ministries Collide Coffee, and that's actually a ministry based out of Dominican Republic that basically we get our coffee into church, and if people want to donate to donate to send back down there, but we're purchasing our coffee off of them, which is all ministry based too. So I think it's neat to see something as simple as coffee that a lot of people take for granted, be able to help in so many ways. And sometimes it can be simple as a conversation with somebody over a cup of coffee that can change their entire life. So I just think I wanted to mention that. I think that's really cool that you do that.
Yeah.
Coffee's the breath of life, just like the Pneuma, right?
The Pneuma. I was just going to say, Chris, before we let you go, I want you to, again, tell everybody where they can get your coffee, and maybe even just tell us what you've got going right now as far as what you've roasted recently. And is there one? Can you give somebody the inside on which one you think they should pick up? What should they go for?
Which is your best coffee?
Come on, just tell everybody what the best one is.
Okay. Well, we were talking about Guatemala and that Rio Ocho farm that I got to visit. It's up in an area called Huehuetenango. That's one of the volcanoes in the region. You can kind of map out all Guatemala's growing regions for coffee based on volcanic areas. Then the other farm we visited was in Honduras, and so I met the producer there, and her dad actually he's kind of passing the farm. It's kind of a sad story actually. Her older brother was killed a few years back, and so now basically she's kind of inheriting the coffee farm, and she's really trying to push into the specialty grade because it was kind of just what we call commodity coffee. It was kind of like grocery store coffee, like cheap $2 a pound or less, kind of coffee as far as the green prices. But she's really doing some great stuff with that coffee, and so I got to meet her, and she also does some cool things to help single moms and women in her community, kind of to empower women and do. So it's a really good story. She partnered with some missionaries to build this little school right beside the coffee farm, and then they want to do a clinic. So we're also thinking of doing a trip to go back there and help them kind of do this clinic thing. But anyway, that coffee on our website, it's Honduras San Isidro. And that is, I think, one of our, the Guatemala Rio Ocho is so close to my heart now, having visited there, but this other coffee in Honduras is a great, delicious coffee. It's kind of medium, chocolatey. It's got a little bit of honey and creaminess to it. It's a lot of our people here in Cincinnati are just loving that coffee.
Does it espresso
pretty
well?
excited about that one.
Does
That
it espresso
one
well?
could be. I haven't tried it as like a single origin espresso, so I would think it is because it doesn't have a strong acidity like a floral or citrus note or something like that. Because sometimes an espresso machine will magnify flavor notes in a coffee. So if you've got anything with citrus, lemon notes, it's going to turn it into a lemon bomb when you do espresso. So I think this one would be good because it's kind of got this brown sugar, honey, chocolate sort of flavor.
I'm excited. Well, the man is Chris Bean. The business is Pneuma Coffee. The website is pneumacoffee.com. We will have the information available. Everybody, check it out. Support Chris. He's a good man. He's a great man. Let's be honest. He's a great man, and he is a fantastic coffee roaster. All three of us can personally attest to that. And I'm seriously going with my own money for reals. Like tomorrow night, probably going to be I'll be going to his website and purchasing some coffee. Probably going to pick up some of this Honduran what'd you call it?
San Isidro.
San Isidro. It sounds good. I mean, he just the way he's describing it. Oh, it's got the honey and it's got the brown sugar and it just. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm about.
I know. I've actually got it on my computer right now.
Uh-oh.
I wrote it down too. Like
You're just selling them like hotcakes now. Look out.
Because personally,
Hey guys,
I don't do any.
So I want to say thank you. It's a huge pleasure to be hanging out with you guys, and I really appreciate you giving me a chance to come on the show and just say hello to your Hey We're Talking community.
Oh, we're going to have you on again because I have a million questions. In fact,
there's so
I'm
many
actually
more
thinking
things.
about I probably just need you to fly out to my house and teach me how to use my Breville espresso machine because Derek was just like, I don't know, I'm kind of in a rush right now. When he came here, he pretended he was going to teach me how to use it, and he was like, yeah, I got to get up there. My brother's ready to leave, so he wanted nothing to do with me.
Scott, you got to remember, Derek doesn't mess with machines that are under $2,500.
I think you're selling it short. I think that thing was like $10,000, man.
I know.
That's a pretty sweet machine. It's very similar to, we use La Spaziale. We use that machine. I probably purchased 10 of those machines to use in they're great in catering setups. But Clive Coffee I know does. Yours is, what's it called? It's kind of a souped up version of the Spaziale.
It's the Luca A53 Mini.
Yeah.
These guys are talking.
It definitely looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a fun little machine. Yeah, the guy that owns Clive Coffee wanted to have some special. He wanted it to be customized for their customers. So he went to the factory and they made it happen. And that's what I have.
By the way, I think that Chris bought 10 of them and paid less than what you paid for one of them. I'm kidding.
I get a pretty good price on them.
Yeah, see? Oh, my goodness.
But yeah, Scotty D, I can do some little personal coffee consultation for a small fee.
Nice! All right, man. Finally, I'm going to get to use it.
Actually, that Breville, there's a couple of machines by Breville, and sometimes people will ask me what espresso machine I recommend. And honestly, there aren't many that really do a good job, under that, really under $1,000. It's hard to get a machine that can pull a good shot. Sometimes they'll pull a good shot, but they don't have the steaming capacity or whatever. But
I have not figured it out.
I don't know which one you have, but Breville has a couple of machines that are decent.
Yeah, well, we'll find out if it's one of them. I'll talk to you about it because I haven't figured it out yet. And Derek just left me high and dry. He was in my house and pretended he was going to teach me how to use it, and then he was just like, I got to go. Although I will say
Scott
this.
got me drunk.
Derek, no, I didn't. Derek
Truth
did.
comes out.
No, he did not get drunk at my house. He did watch my dogs have sex, though, which was really horrible. All right,
I remember that story, the humping story.
So the thing that Derek did show my wife and I that we never knew about was Chick-fil-A sauce. Yes. Put the Chick-fil-A sauce on whatever you have. Besides the spicy chicken, I would just do regular chicken, or you can dip your French fries in it. Very tasty. Derek enlightened us to Chick-fil-A sauce.
Talking about that barbecue mustard thing?
I don't know what it is. It's a mystery dip.
Yeah, you could get ranch or you can get honey mustard or barbecue sauce. They have one that's just called Chick-fil-A sauce.
And it's fantastic. It will change your life. It really will. And that's coming from a fat guy, so you know it's really good. All right,
everybody.
So listen, go to pneumacoffee.com, get some coffee. I want to hear what people think about this Honduran blend because I'm going to get some too because it sounds fantastic. I'm going to mess it up, but I'm going to try it. I even have like a pour over thing that I need to learn how to use. Oh my gosh, so many questions. We have to come back and talk to you about this again.
Everybody give me 24 hours to work on this, but discount code HWT for
nice.
20% off. 20% off your first Pneuma order.
Wow.
Or your next Pneuma order.
Nice. I'm writing it down. That is
HWT.
Awesome. HWT. So thanks for being on the show, Chris. We appreciate it. You're coming back because we have a million. Bob and I have a ton of questions. I know you and Derek can just sit there and go, yeah, it's the geisha 5-sourced Ocho Cinco, that kind of stuff. But us, we don't know what you guys are talking about, so we need more. We're going to have a time where Bob and I get to ask questions because Derek's too smart about the coffee.
Look forward to it. That'd be great.
All right, guys, check us out. You know where to go. Make sure you go get some coffee from Chris. Chris Bean. I mean, he was born to do this. Chris Bean, pneumacoffee.com. You can use the code HWT, 20% off. That's freaking amazing. Oh, my gosh. I'm so excited. All right. Thanks for being on the show. We will talk to you guys later. We love you.